The royal world is spinning after a bombshell DNA result shook the very walls of the monarchy. In a dramatic courtroom moment, Tom Parker Bowles collapsed after learning Andrew Parker Bowles is not his biological father. All eyes turned toward Camilla, and one burning question: is King Charles the real dad? Camilla is reportedly furious, blindsided, and scrambling behind closed doors. The palace remains silent, but the whispers are growing into a storm. What was once rumor is now reality, and the fallout could change the royal line forever. One test, one collapse, one secret too big to hide. The courtroom collapse. Tom Parker Bowles walked into the courtroom with quiet confidence. Dressed in a tailored navy suit, he looked composed, even calm. No one expected the events that would unfold just minutes later. As the DNA results were read aloud, revealing that Andrew Parker Bowles was not his biological father, a gasp echoed through the room. Tom's eyes widened. His hands trembled. Within seconds, his knees buckled. Tom collapsed to the courtroom floor in visible shock. Security rushed in. His legal team swarmed around him. Someone yelled for a medic. The courtroom, once silent and orderly, erupted into chaos. The headlines would call it a royal meltdown. Those inside would call it something worse. The moment the monarchy was shaken to its core. What was meant to be a private matter had now spilled into public scandal. News outlets broke the story within the hour. Photos of Tom's collapse spread across social media. And while the public was stunned, insiders knew this was only the beginning. A crisis had been born, and it had the power to reach the highest levels of the royal family. "This can't be true," a shaken courtroom attendee was overheard saying. But the paperwork didn't lie. Tom's entire identity, everything he believed about his family, had just shattered in front of the world. His whole life changed in one sentence, and the crown may never recover. But as the courtroom buzz faded and Tom was carried out, another storm began brewing, not from the public, but from within palace walls. Because what had once been whispered in private was now exploding in public. The whisper that became a roar. For years, there had been quiet murmurs, little comments about Tom Parker Bowles not quite resembling Andrew, whispered theories exchanged over drinks in royal staff quarters, but no one dared say it too loudly. Not about Camilla, not about the Queen Consort. Some royal aides had raised eyebrows over the years. Something didn't quite fit, one former insider admitted, but we were told not to dig. Behind the scenes, suspicions lingered. The timeline between Camilla's affair with Charles and her marriage to Andrew always felt complicated. But tradition demanded silence. Until now. The DNA test result confirmed what many had long feared, but never expected to prove. The whispers had become a roar. Camilla's private life, so long protected by royal discretion, was now front-page news. The story spread from British tabloids to international headlines in hours. And the damage wasn't limited to the Bowles family. It hit the monarchy like a tidal wave. Palace aides were blindsided. Crisis meetings were reportedly held within the hour. Phones rang non-stop. "We've prepared for scandal," one official said. But never anything like this. The truth was out, and no amount of PR spin could undo the public shock. We've prepared for scandal, but never anything like this. And as the world demanded answers, one question burned brighter than the rest. If Andrew isn't the father, then who is? All signs pointed in one direction, and that direction led straight to the throne. Who's the real father? Speculation exploded across television panels, group chats, and newsrooms. Who was Tom Parker Bowles' real father? The answer that most couldn't ignore: King Charles III. The timelines overlapped. Camilla and Charles were famously close, even during her marriage. And now, that connection was under forensic-level scrutiny. Old letters resurfaced. Paparazzi photos, once dismissed as harmless, were now viewed through a new lens. Private notes exchanged between Camilla and Charles revealed more than warmth. They hinted at a closeness far beyond friendship. There was never a time they were truly apart, a royal biographer explained. And if the emotional bond never ended, what about the physical one? Another name surfaced, too: a lesser-known aristocrat from Camilla's social circle. But the spotlight kept returning to Charles. His silence, his history, his timing. It all lined up. And while the palace refused to comment, their refusal only fueled the storm. The people wanted answers, and the crown wasn't giving them any. In the absence of clarity, conspiracy bloomed. Social media exploded with side-by-side photos comparing Tom and Charles. It's in the jawline, some claimed. The eyes don't lie, said others. Theories went viral, and with every retweet, the pressure on the palace grew. The timelines match. The resemblance is real, and the silence says everything. And while the public turned its gaze to Charles, the person at the center of it all, Camilla, faced her own reckoning, because her carefully constructed image wasn't just cracking, it was collapsing. Camilla's secret past under fire. Camilla Parker Bowles, now Queen Consort, has spent decades carefully reshaping her public image. From the shadows of scandal to the spotlight of duty, she has walked a long, calculated road. But with the DNA bombshell detonated, everything she worked to bury is now flooding back into the light. And the past has teeth. For years, her marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles was seen as steady, if not perfect. A traditional match between two members of Britain's elite. They were photographed at horse events, society galas, and family outings. But beneath the surface, things weren't so stable. Camilla's bond with Charles never truly ended. That much the world already knew. What's new now is how that bond may have impacted not just a marriage, but a child's entire identity. If Tom was conceived during the time of Camilla and Charles's emotional and perhaps physical affair, then the truth would rewrite not only their love story, but a key chapter of royal history. This wasn't just a private relationship, said one commentator. It's now a public scandal with generational consequences. Royal biographers are once again dusting off the timeline. Did Charles and Camilla's affair begin earlier than previously admitted? Could Tom have been the child of a man who was publicly married to someone else? Diana? If so, then the affair didn't just end a marriage. It may have predated it. And that's a truth the royal family may not be able to spin. Her image survived divorce, scandal, and hatred. But can it survive the truth? And as Camilla's legacy now hangs in the balance, the scandal doesn't just haunt her. It pulls Diana back into the center of the story and reopens a love triangle the world thought it had left behind. Charles, Camilla, and the Diana Triangle. There was always a third figure in Charles and Camilla's relationship, and her name was Diana. Even after her death, Princess Diana's legacy has cast a long, unavoidable shadow over their union. But now, with this DNA twist, the entire triangle is under renewed scrutiny, and the emotional weight is heavier than ever. Camilla and Charles's affair is no longer just a footnote in royal history. It's the headline again. Diana famously said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." It was a moment of pain wrapped in composure, and it resonated around the world. That quote, once etched in memory, now feels more literal than symbolic. If Tom was born out of the affair that Diana so painfully endured, then this isn't just a story of infidelity. It becomes a deeper betrayal, one that alters the way we view Diana's entire life inside the royal family. She wasn't just competing with Camilla emotionally. She may have been unknowingly raising a family while her husband was potentially fathering a child outside of it. Public sympathy for Diana, already strong, has exploded. Her name is trending again. Documentaries are being rewatched. Her interviews are being quoted. The world is reliving her suffering and re-examining everything they once accepted. Camilla, who once appeared to overcome the past, now finds herself drowning in it again. And Charles? He is no longer just a widower who remarried for love. He's now a potential father to a son born of betrayal. And whether that's true or not, the perception alone is a threat to his already fragile public image. It's not just a love triangle anymore, it's a legacy war. But if this story is shaking the royal family, it's threatening to shatter one man's entire sense of self. Because Tom Parker Bowles, at the center of it all, is now facing a heartbreak no title, no parent, and no palace could have prepared him for. The emotional toll on Tom Parker Bowles. Until now, Tom Parker Bowles was a quiet royal adjacent, a respected food critic, a loyal son, and a man who never asked for public attention. He was Camilla's child, Andrew's on paper, and Charles's stepson in title. But now he's something else entirely, a man whose foundation just crumbled beneath him. Sources close to Tom say he's emotionally wrecked. He had no idea. Raised by Andrew, loved by Charles as a stepfather, he never questioned his identity. He was secure, grounded, and proud of his family. But the DNA test has changed everything. "It's not just about who your father is," said one friend. "It's about everything you thought was true." Reports say Tom has cut back all public appearances. He's retreated from his social circles. He's even reportedly refused all media requests, despite offers from top networks. This isn't a PR moment for him. It's a personal collapse. And as a grown man, dealing with this in the public eye is brutal. Camilla, sources say, has tried to reach out, but insiders claim their relationship is strained. "He doesn't feel lied to, he feels lost," one insider said. And who can blame him? The collapse in court wasn't just shock, it was grief. Identity grief, family grief, the kind that doesn't go away in a news cycle. And yet, Tom isn't just a private citizen anymore. He's now a symbol. A man caught in the middle of royal deception, legacy manipulation, and the consequences of silence. And the public is watching his every move, even as he tries to process it all. He wasn't just betrayed, he was blindsided by history. And as Tom disappears from the public eye, the palace remains frozen in place. No statements, no apologies, no explanations. But the silence, once their strongest weapon, may now be their greatest mistake. Royal silence or cover-up? As the media storm grew louder, the palace did what it always does in times of crisis. Nothing. Not a word. No statement from Buckingham Palace. No appearance from Camilla. No clarification from King Charles. The royal PR machine had gone into complete shutdown, hoping silence would serve as strategy. But this time, silence didn't settle anything. It only made things worse. Behind the scenes, insiders describe a full-blown panic. Royal aides were reportedly in non-stop meetings, trying to find a response that wouldn't ignite further damage. "They're not just managing headlines," said one former courtier. "They're trying to protect the monarchy's survival." Every word, every leak, every decision was being calculated. But from the outside, it looked like a cover-up. Public pressure intensified. Protesters stood outside palace gates demanding truth. Social media hashtags like #RoyalDNA and #WhoIsTheFather trended globally. People wanted answers, and the crown gave them none. Even members of parliament began whispering about transparency and constitutional concerns. Worse still, this wasn't just about a scandal, it was about trust. A royal family that promised modernity, honesty, and reform now looked like it was hiding behind century-old secrets. "We were promised a new era," said one political analyst. "Instead, we're watching the same old palace games." They're not just protecting their image, they're protecting a dynasty. And while the palace kept its lips sealed, the real weight of the scandal was beginning to shift. Because if Charles is the father, if this all began earlier than the public ever knew, then it's not just a personal scandal. It's a threat to his legacy as king. The impact on Charles's legacy. King Charles III has spent his entire adult life preparing for this moment. The crown, the throne, the title. After decades of waiting in the wings, he finally became monarch. But now, just as his reign begins, a DNA test threatens to crack the very foundation beneath him. If Tom Parker Bowles is his biological son, it raises devastating questions about when the affair with Camilla truly began. Official palace timelines say the relationship rekindled after Charles and Diana's marriage began to crumble. But if Tom was born from that affair, and the evidence continues to suggest it, then the affair wasn't just rekindled. It never ended. That would mean Charles was not just unfaithful. He was lying, for decades, about when, how, and why his marriage to Diana collapsed, about Camilla's role in the royal story, and about the family he built in the shadows. This isn't just a moral issue, one historian said. It's a constitutional one. Charles's credibility is on the line. His ability to lead a modern monarchy, already challenged by the public's deep love for Diana, is now under scrutiny like never before. Some critics are even whispering the unthinkable: abdication. If public trust crumbles further, could Charles be forced to step aside for William? And while no such move is in sight, the threat is real. Because the crown isn't just about jewels and titles, it's about legitimacy. And this scandal has put that very legitimacy under the microscope, with a spotlight the palace can't dim. He waited a lifetime to become king, but one test could ruin it all. And as Charles's grip on public trust loosens, the woman whose memory haunts every corner of this scandal is once again being lifted up, not in grief, but in vindication. Camilla versus Diana. It always comes back to Diana. And now, as the scandal unfolds, public sentiment has taken a clear turn, back toward the people's princess. Her image, once mourned, is now revered. And Camilla, long seen as the other woman, is once again cast in the shadow of the woman she replaced. This DNA drama has reawakened every unresolved wound. The public remembers Diana's pain, her interviews, her lonely moments, her quiet strength. That one quote, "There were 3 of us in this marriage," has regained new life and deeper meaning. Diana wasn't exaggerating. She was enduring a truth that we're only now seeing unfold in full. Social media is filled with side-by-side photos of Diana and Camilla. Quotes from Diana are going viral. News anchors call her the Queen of Hearts, even in death. And as Camilla's approval rating drops, Diana's star only rises higher. In the court of public opinion, this is no longer a comparison. It's a coronation. Camilla's defenders are few and quiet. Her critics are many and growing. The Queen Consort, who worked tirelessly to rebuild her reputation, now finds herself falling back into the same role she once escaped, the villain. And this time, the audience isn't forgiving. Diana's story has become more than history. It's become a symbol of truth, of betrayal, and of resilience. Camilla's story, meanwhile, is being rewritten in real time, and not in her favor. Diana lost the crown, but she never lost the people. And as the emotional divide grows deeper, it's not just the public that's turning. Behind palace walls, a family once tightly guarded is now fraying, sibling by sibling, room by room. Public opinion in turmoil. What began as a private DNA revelation has now evolved into a national emotional meltdown. The British public, already weary from royal scandals and fractured trust, is now boiling with anger, confusion, and betrayal. And unlike past controversies, this one touches a nerve that runs deeper than protocol. It touches identity, history, and truth. Older generations who lived through Diana's era feel vindicated. For years they were told to move on, to accept Camilla, to embrace a modern monarchy. But deep down, many never forgot the pain Diana wore so openly. Now, with this DNA twist, they feel that their instincts were right all along. Camilla's past was never truly resolved. Younger generations are asking harder questions. Why is this family still allowed to hide behind titles and tradition? Why is transparency still optional when public funds help support the crown? Social media has become a battlefield. Hashtags like #RoyalTruthNow and #HadJustice for Diana have gained millions of views. Twitter threads and TikTok documentaries dissect every detail, from timelines to facial resemblances. The result? A monarchy in a legitimacy crisis, not just because of the DNA results, but because of what they represent. A system built on secrecy, on image over honesty, is being torn apart in real time. And while royal defenders cling to dignity and duty, the public demands something stronger: accountability. It's no longer about who the father is, it's about who we can trust. And if the public is losing faith, it's nothing compared to what's happening behind palace walls. Because now, the family itself, the one we thought stood united in silence, is beginning to splinter. A family divided. Inside the palace, the silence isn't peaceful, it's suffocating. Tensions are reportedly at an all-time high. Aides describe the atmosphere as paralyzed. The royal family, famed for unity, duty, and quiet strength, is now deeply fractured behind closed doors. Prince William has reportedly chosen distance. While he maintains a public face of composure, Insiders say he is avoiding private contact with both Camilla and Charles. William has always been protective of Diana's legacy, and this scandal, more than any before, feels like a personal betrayal. He believes the truth is the truth, one royal staffer shared. And he doesn't see why he should pretend anymore. Harry, who once spoke out openly against Camilla in his memoir and interviews, has chosen a rare moment of silence. But it speaks volumes. His lack of public condemnation is unusual, and some believe it's because he's watching it all implode without needing to lift a finger. Royal siblings, cousins, and senior aides are reportedly split on how to respond. Some are calling for a full investigation and public statement. Others are begging for restraint, fearful of how far the fallout could reach. Even the Queen's former advisors are rumored to be divided, some loyal to the firm's survival, others ready to accept it's time for real reform. The result is a royal family no longer marching in step. There's no clear voice, no united front, just grief, confusion, and carefully disguised resentment. And with each passing day of silence, the cracks grow deeper, not just within the family, but within the very structure of the monarchy. They've spent centuries hiding behind walls, but now even the walls are whispering. And as internal loyalty collapses and public trust fades, one final question remains. The one no one dares ask out loud. What happens now? What happens now? The palace gates remain closed, but the world is still watching. Camilla hasn't appeared publicly in days. Tom Parker Bowles remains hidden from view. King Charles is continuing with official duties, but the spark behind his eyes is said to be fading. And the truth is, no one really knows what comes next. Will Camilla finally speak? Will she own the truth, release a statement, or attempt to explain the unexplainable? Insiders are conflicted. Some say she wants to speak. Others say she's been advised to stay quiet, that no explanation could survive public judgment now. Either way, the silence is no longer seen as grace. It's seen as guilt. Will Charles address the rumors? If he is the father, then his role in this story becomes one of the most damaging royal scandals in modern history. If he's not, his refusal to clear the air is allowing his crown to erode. The longer he waits, the worse it looks. A king cannot rule a country when he won't even face his family, one royal historian said. As for Tom Parker Bowles, can he ever return to public life? Can he rebuild his identity after a lifetime of believing one thing, only to be hit with a truth that rewrites everything? His future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. He didn't ask for this, and he doesn't deserve to carry it alone. This isn't just a personal crisis, it's a royal reckoning. A family's secret has become a nation's scandal. And now the monarchy must decide. Does it double down on tradition or finally face the truth? One test changed everything, and now the crown must answer to history. Because this was never just about a DNA result. It was about everything built around it. The lies, the silence, the pain, and the reckoning. It's here. One DNA test that threatens the royal order. In the end, it wasn't a scandalous photo. It wasn't a leaked memoir or a rogue interview. It was a DNA test, clinical, undeniable, and cold, that now threatens to unravel the British monarchy from the inside out. One test exposed a hidden truth, One collapse in a courtroom tore through decades of silence, and one man, Tom Parker Bowles, may have unknowingly become the center of a royal identity crisis that could reshape everything. Because if Charles is Tom's father, then everything changes. The timelines, the public lies, the carefully constructed reputations, all of it burns. Camilla's role as queen consort becomes questionable, not just morally, but politically. Can a monarchy built on duty and example continue with a king tied to a decades-long deception? Can the woman once deemed the other woman retain a crown if her most guarded secret has shattered public trust? And what of William? Harry? The future of the crown? Their silence may speak louder than any press release. The monarchy has weathered wars, abdications, divorces, and deaths. But this is legacy level. The kind of truth that doesn't just haunt a family, it rewrites its history. The royal order, long seen as impenetrable, now sits exposed, vulnerable to the one thing it was never built to withstand: reality. One test didn't just reveal paternity, it revealed the palace's greatest fear. Now, the royal family faces a reckoning decades in the making. Camilla's carefully rebuilt reputation lies in ruins. Tom Parker Bowles is in hiding, grappling with an identity he never questioned. Until now. And King Charles? He may be caught in the biggest scandal of his reign. The silence from the palace grows louder, and the pressure for answers is mounting. Public trust is fading. Legacy is crumbling. And Diana's shadow looms larger than ever. One DNA test has done what no scandal ever could. It's forced the monarchy to face the truth. And there's no turning back now.